All right.
Hey everyone, so today we're going to introduce some of the fan testing machine and also do the setup. There's a couple of things we have to connect, like tubing. We have to connect the throttle device, the computer itself, a few other things like that. So Stone and I are going to be connecting this. He's going to walk you through the air compressor we bought for use with this. We don't need as high end of one as we got, but we got a nice one for a few reasons we'll explain later. And I'm going to walk you through some of the basics of what's on this machine, but we're going to save the methodological discussion for a future time after we've gotten started using it and learning everything we can about fans. I feel like I'm back in school because I just bought a bunch of fluid mechanics textbooks specifically to review fans. So that's where we are at this point. Let's get started with it. Before that, this video is brought to you by Thermal Grizzly. Thermal Grizzly's Hydronaut and Cryonaut thermal pastes are high-performing thermal interfaces for use on CPUs and GPUs. You can bring an old card back to peak performance by repasting it and doing preventative maintenance, and Thermal Grizzly's Hydronaut is ideal for water cooling and air cooling for new and old cards alike. Cryonaut paste is one of the top performing pastes for extreme overclocking with CPUs and GPUs and has been used in several world record scoring machines. Learn more at the link in the description below. Alright, so we already opened this thing. It's one of the only unboxing videos we've done. You can see the box over there. That might explain why we happened to do a video for this particular unboxing. It was a large box. Would say it's probably one of the most intense unboxing videos you'll ever see. There was drama. There was action. And there was box opening. Got it? And just as a quick note here too, thank you to everyone who picked up items from the store recently, like the Disappointment 2021 shirts. These are in the third and final round. We are not making more of these after these sell through. They are the ones with, on the back side, there's all of the tour dates, so to speak, of the worst or most disappointing things for 2021. Helps us out. You get a unique shirt with the sands of silicon being drained through a GPU shroud hourglass on the front. So you get a nice nod to last year as well and to computer hardware. Also, the toolkits are in stock and shipping now. These have been on back order for months. So if you've wanted one, now's a great time to grab one. Supports us on store.gamersnexus.net. You get some high quality tools and it also helps us out. Okay, so to give you the zoomed out look at this first, terminology we're gonna use, the entire thing I'm referring to as the fan tester, or you could also call it sort of a cabinet, like an arcade cabinet, except, you know, it's not a video game. This is a chamber, that's how I'm gonna refer to it. This has pressure sensors hooked up to it, it's got nozzles inside. We can manually or automatically control the opening of the valves within the chamber. So we can either get fine-tuned manual control or PC automation if we want to run a predefined set of tests against a known group of fans. So for example, we're doing a bunch of 120mm fans and we have some custom tests we want to run. We can manually do it or we can set up programmatically. For the types of numbers it produces, this is a bit of an introduction. So we can set up PQ charts, for example. Part of my job is going to be taking stuff like this and making it so that people can understand it. So this is where we come in for the most part. It's going to be not only having the equipment, knowing how to use it, but critically knowing how to interpret the data. That's why I'm personally studying a lot of the fluid mechanics background information I might need to know, and we're also going to be talking to experts in the field from manufacturers. So those will be people sort of at technical marketing, but also engineering to help us understand what we need to interpret and display. Power button, obviously, it's not plugged in right now because we need to hook up a couple things still. 3 different pressure ranges. So it's got millimeters of aqua, 0 to 25.4, 0 to 127. This is actually, so it's 2 different pressure levels, and then this is a differential of pressure 5 and 6 together, which we'll run into later as we go through this. This is barometric pressure. There's actually a sensor on this thing for barometric pressure. This is important to get all these numbers so that we know the parameters under which the fan was tested, so that as things change, we can adjust for those changes and try to eliminate as much variance as possible in our test environment versus the results. So if there's a significant change in barometric pressure, we'll be able to account for that. Not controlling for these things is okay, especially for most sort of review outlets, but it does mean that your margin you have to claim for variance or for error is much wider, and we're trying to narrow that margin in as much as possible so that we have a really small margin for error, and I'll go over the specifics on that once we do the methodology piece, so that we can get hard numbers where when we rank things and they're within a couple percentage points, we'll be able to say, this isn't error, this is actually, that one's just better. So that's pretty cool. These two are temperature readouts. So this is a bulb temperature for wet, and this is for dry. We're gonna go around the back and I'll explain that. So over here, you'll see there's this chamber where we need to fill this halfway with distilled water. It's got a little bit in there, needs a little more though. And then there's two of these bulbs here where you've got, it's basically like just a thermometer, and that's a dry temperature readout. And then this is a little piece of, I think, fabric that runs over another thermometer and into the water. It needs to be wet up here when we're running the tests, so we can get a delta of this temperature versus that temperature. We're gonna be able to check for things like humidity while we're running tests too. On this side over here, while we're going around the machine, we've got our own breaker on the box. We can plug into power right there. We'll plug into 220 volt for that. The counter blower is down here. This is pretty nice, where we can get the actual PWM frequency or duty cycle of the fan. So instead of needing a motherboard and going through BIOS UEFI, where that on its own can be sort of between boards, be a little bit different how it behaves, this allows us to do everything very directly, very controlled, and produce numbers that are actually reliable and not like contingent on whatever the hell MSI is doing this generation. I mean, not to call out MSI, but their BIOS kind of sucks sometimes. I guess that's calling out MSI, but you know. What are you gonna do, MSI? So we're gonna work on studying all this, how to use it, what aspects of the fans we need to sort of care about for the enthusiast audience versus what's maybe just unnecessary level of technical detail. So that's all stuff we're gonna go through, but that'll be a separate piece on methodology. Today we're really just focused on the machine sort of walk around. So there's a window here. This will allow us to see if it's working. It allows us to see, using these buttons down here, we can do control of the valves inside, so we'll be able to see if they're opening or closing. If we're in manual control, for example, and manual and automated controls down up here. So this is pretty cool. This RPM mode, FG and optic. So this, if we switch it to optic, this thing actually comes with an optical tachometer. We have our own, but they've shipped one that I think is a little nicer. It's included in here somewhere, I think. Pretty neat though that there's all these different things built into it. So if something's not working for us, if we need more manual control, if we are concerned that, hey, this reading looks a little funny, can we cross-validate it? The answer is yes. We can do all that. We can cross-validate everything on one device. So if we're a little uncertain of something, we can switch modes, we can switch to manual from automated, and we can take over from there and just make sure the machine's doing it right, or make sure there's not some weird behavior with that specific fan. So really cool to have all that functionality as well. Okay, that's enough of me talking about this for now. Like I said, there's a lot we still need to learn about this. We got to set it up though. I'm going to pass off to Patrick Stone, who's going to talk about the air compressor side of things. We had to buy an air compressor for this as well. So this was his task to study and understand. We've sort of split things up. I asked you to figure this out and deal with it. And so we were able to split the workload and both just specialize and focus on something. So I'll let you explain what we've chosen here.
So this is an air compressor from California Air Tools. And the reason that we got this guy, the primary reason that we went after this one was we weren't really sure exactly where this was going to end up. There was a possibility that this might end up on the wall adjacent to our studio. And a lot of noise during a film shoot is a bad idea. So Steve was like, hey, can we get something super quiet? And this was the best solution we could find for a reasonable price. There were other solutions that were out there that were quieter, but they were just like stupid amounts of money. And we were like, okay, we're already spending plenty of money. Let's see if we can do something good and affordable. So this California Air Tools product is 40 dBA at 1 meter, and it's got a lot of automatic things built in for us, and it does really good soundproofing. It was important for us to make sure that there was a dryer built in and a drain valve built in, because we wanted to make sure that whatever's coming out of here isn't going to damage the expensive piece of equipment. So that had everything we needed here. The drain valve comes out right here, condensate right here, and this is an air outlet. It's got a 1/4 inch fitting. We're actually going to take that off to make it work with this thing, but that's okay because the company that's provided us with this provided us with another one of those. So it's going to work out great, hopefully.
Yeah, so we're going for limiting noise within reason. Like Stone said, one of the biggest things that we were thinking about with this stuff is when you're spending so much money on one piece of equipment, I mean, by the technical requirement for what the machine needs, this is way overkill. We could do this, I think, with that thing. I don't know, I spent maybe like $100 or less.
Exactly.
Maybe 60 on that thing, on this, just from a hardware store. So, you know, we could have used something like that, but we're going through so many lengths to make sure testing is good over here. I don't want to cause problems over here. We had a couple specific requirements, like you mentioned, noise. This thing. This is
great for construction.
Yeah.
Outdoors.
Yeah. So that was a problem because we're not really going to be able to film at all if this thing is running.
Yeah.
So the other one should be good for that. So yeah, pretty happy with the stuff we ended up with. Super mobile, which is nice.
I do see one big problem though. The paint colors do not match.
That's true.
I have to fix that.
Well, get on it. You're the one who noticed it.
That might not ever get fixed. Yeah.
We do need to hook up the tubing. So we're gonna get started on assembly now. Fun part. This is the first time we will be assembling this and possibly the last. We haven't done a dry run before filming or anything, but I have gone through all the instructional training that the company provided, and I think we're gonna be good to go. This is part of the throttle device right here. You can actually see it in there. It looks like it goes on the back of a jet or something. So anyway, that's the throttle device. That'll hook up on the side.
So this is going to be our connection between the air compressor and the fan tester. And like I said, we're going to have to put a different one of these on the actual compressor. So, and again, they sent that with the machine, so good job by the people that manufactured this thing. Those 4 screws right there look like they mate right here.
Yeah. Maybe.
So if we take off this plate, that'll give us enough room to get, you know, a driver in there.
Yeah, there is supposed to be one that just vents up, which is probably what that is then.
So you're thinking like this right here?
Yeah. One of these isn't open. Okay.
Yep.
That's the end.
Crank it.
We actually had to get this outlet rewired for this particular plug, but it is functional now, so that's gonna be our power. So this is gonna be the air line I'm hooking up over here. So I'm just gonna have to modify the terminating bit on the air compressor for the other one. This is the tubing you had earlier, right?
It is, yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Okay, this is gonna be power. So this machine, I didn't mention this earlier in this video, but no, other one we did, just has a power strip up here. So it's got kind of its own electrical system basically all built into it. So we're gonna connect this up here. Hey Stone.
Yes, sir.
Do you still need a wrench?
I will need a wrench, yes. That may be too large. Es posible.
This is, I believe, going to be the tachometer. So it's a Monarch laser apparatus. This is gonna be a laser tack. And that'll connect to all this like hand in here that I showed earlier. So we may use that. It'll probably just sort of stand on the bench over here or on a table next door.
Giant wrench is in fact too giant. Does not fit.
So thermometer.
We got to take this quick disconnect off because the hose coming from our fan tester has a quick disconnect already installed, but it looks like it maybe is a 1/2 inch, something like that. Not sure exactly. This is probably a 1/4 inch, and this doesn't fit, but it's cool because it sent us one that does, and so that will work. And since we're not going to really use this thing for anything other than the fan tester, we're going to go ahead and put this on our compressor and remove the other one. So now we'll go ahead and get this guy taken apart, and we'll insert the new one, which already has some tape on it, so that should be a good seal for us. Just put it through here, attach the washer to the backside, and then hand tighten, because that's all it's ever going to need is a hand tighten. Wait, I think I know where this goes.
While you were out saving the town, Batman, I've been planning your demise. Now stand still while I push this into you. Wait, where are you going? I'd say that's good.
Okay.
And now the computer can come out of the hole. The good old HP ProDesk Core i3 10th gen. That's right. Won't find that kind of hardware around here because it sucks. Better than a Dell keyboard.
Sir, I think Gamers Nexus is a patent or a trademark on that line.
Which?
It's better than Dell.
So I could trademark that self-contains another trademark. I'm sure they'll be thrilled about that. Breaker's on. Ready? Skadoosh.
I think the breaker's off.
The breaker's off. The breaker's on. All right. Ooh.
This will be our first fan to test.
Nice. Good old orifice test report. That's what it's called. Okay, so we're done with assembling stuff, at least for now. There might be more, we'll see. Back here, we can try and get the camera, well, I'll let you get in front of me so you can show it, but need to do some cable management. There's a couple cables I need to check with the manufacturer on where they plug in. So, yeah, it's looking good. I guess we now have a piece of testing equipment that the manufacturers use when they're making their fans. This is the very same machine that a couple of the big brand manufacturers use when they create the specs on the side of their box. So we'll be able to test against those now. That'll be pretty cool. We're gonna have a lot of content opportunities, but there's a ton to learn first. So my next steps here are gonna be work with probably one person on the team will work the closest with me to specialize in this. We tend to do specialization. So Mike, for example, is the specialist on coolers, works alongside me on that. And probably he'll be the one I'm working with on doing training and everything for this, because it just fits in really well with coolers. So then the cool thing is, outside of doing just a fan test, a case fan review, now we can start doing, Mike is working on a cooler review. He can pull the fan off of it, throw it on here, and we have more numbers to see how good is the cooler as a unit, how good is the actual fan they're shipping with. Is that just trash? Is it abnormally high end? Something like that. And it kind of works further down the line too, where if Patrick's working on a case review and he pulls the fan out of the case, he can hand it off to Mike or me and ask for a test report on it, and then we'll know if the case fan is any good. So a lot of opportunities with it. One more thing I want to show too. So this Stone just finished sort of cataloging our record store of fan mounts here at the plates. So these can do, I have to go through them all and label them, but we've definitely got 120, I see 140. I see a weird Noctua. I think I requested them to special make the Noctua like 135 or 150, whatever it is that they have on the NHD 15. So that's in there because I wanted a baseline for a really famous fan. Got a calibration plate right there. That's a 40 millimeter diameter, and it goes up to 200, and we've got a 180 in here as well, I think. So a lot of cool opportunities. The 180 I'm excited for because I want to see how the very few 180 fans that exist perform. That would be Fractal and Silverstone primarily. And then the 200s you've got, well, Noctua, Silverstone to some extent, Fractal. So a lot of cool stuff we can do. Cooler Masters in there too. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. As always, you can subscribe for more. Go to store.gamersnexus.net to help us out directly, like grabbing one of these shirts or our teardown toolkits, which are in stock and shipping now. And keep an eye out. Our methodology piece will probably be the next thing we publish for this, but it'll be a little while. We're talking like probably at least a month at this point. So check back. We'll see you all next time.